big with 2 G's. I'm going to repeat that. That's big with 2 G's. So we back with another episode of the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. That's big with 2 G's. I'm going to repeat that. That's big with 2 G's, the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. And we got the invisible Panchos.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having us, man.
Oh, no problem. We've been talking for a long time before this shit even started.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Smoking.
Definitely. So definitely we want to already hop into where you guys are from.
I'm from Barrio Logan, born and raised in San Diego. Yeah.
Same. Myself, San Diego, South Bay, Chula Vista area, born and raised.
What was it like growing up for you in South Bay?
It was like Parks and Rec kind of lifestyle.
That show?
More so like
that show, or you talking about the real
life? Being involved with like,
because they got that show and shit.
The show's
that would have been tight.
Being involved with like sports, always being involved with like community groups.
What sport you play?
Basketball, baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, basketball and baseball, pretty much. And yeah, man, it was a cool. Chula Vista is dope.
You grew up with your moms and your dad?
I grew up till 13.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my dad and my mom split when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was me and my mom and my 2 siblings.
You the older one or younger one?
Youngest.
Okay, youngest.
Yeah, youngest of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after the split, like, did they have to more so take you under the wing? Or because sometimes it goes, different, however that may play out for you.
Yeah, there was like a moment where we all kind of like, including my mom, all went in our own like individual ways. And then through time, we all kind of like realized like, oh,
we gotta be back together.
Yeah, but that effect has an effect differently in each individual person. As much as the umbrella, each individual person is getting affected and takes it in and reacts differently. So for me, I kind of went like recluse, quiet, even less involved with the family unit. You know what I mean? Before
they even split, so you was already the type that wasn't so much involved anyway.
I was just quiet. I wouldn't say I was kind of just going, oh, mom's or dad would be like, oh, go, we're doing this, cool, or oh, we're doing this. Like it was like I was the youngest, so I was just kind of always holding on to the coat.
Right, it's time I gotta tag along.
Yeah.
Definitely, we're gonna definitely touch back on you.
Yeah.
I ain't want to just leave you sitting here.
No, it's all good, man, because I'm learning right now.
No, so that's all. That's all a part of it, definitely. And you grew up in Barrio Logan. What was that like for you?
Barrio Logan's just always like culturally deep. You know what I mean? Like it's always like it. Since I was a little kid, I always remember something heavy with the culture going on. There was always music. There was like revolting.
And what type of music was you into back then?
I've never not been into hip hop. Like I've always been into hip hop. I've never not been into hip hop. Like, but I've listened to like for me it's always been like hip hop, and then I've listened to like anything that's alternative, not like just like.
Is alternative? Would you consider that like EDM or like?
No, man. I think just anything that's kind of out of the box. Like that's kind of like, oh, that's dope. Like maybe that's a combination of 2 types of music, or maybe like, oh, that's some music from South America that's combined with like trap music or something, like just something a little bit left to center. You know what I mean? I've always been into that kind of music. Sometimes the weirder the better. I'm just like, oh, because it's always made me think of like, damn, that's dope that somebody loves like that weird sound. Like they love that sound, like, and like they really put their thoughts into like that sound.
Right.
And in Barrio Logan, there's a lot of different, like it's really like fruitful. Like there's people who. Like I'm a 2nd generation musician in Barrio Logan. My uncle was in a band like in the 50s called the Velvetones, and it was just like they played with like Ray Charles, James Brown.
Oh
like,
damn!
They were like the backing band. Yeah, they were like the backing band for all these like crazy people, right? So like that's been in my family forever. Like being like an artist there's always been an artist in my family. So like growing up in Barrio Logan, I at least I feel like that vibe is encouraged. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like graffiti, like beautiful.
I see that. Yeah, I see that a lot.
Art. It's everywhere.
And they gotta keep that.
Yep, it's everywhere. You know what I mean? And the community does. Like they're about keeping it. Like they've literally fought for it to keep it. You know what I mean? And it's dope. Like I wouldn't have. Now that I'm older and I can like look back on it as a kid, I wouldn't have traded it for nothing, man.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like growing up there. It wasn't like it was safe all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it wasn't like the safest place. It's much better now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's way better now. It's way better now. But growing up, it was like there's literally blocks you just didn't go. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's just how it was. It's the hood.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
What inspired the music for you?
I feel like I've always been tapped into music one way or the other. My dad was a drummer growing up himself.
So y'all both already have family members into music.
Mm-hmm. He grew up in South America and Chile, so he was exposed to a whole different culture of music.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because growing up, when he came into the States, he was into like everything Americana. You know what I mean? Like rock and roll. I just want to be Mr. America, you know, just be acclimated to this culture. So I grew up on a lot of like, I'll go through stuff. He has bands like Boston or like Alabama, like really heavy, like 80s classic rock stuff, you know? And then my mom, on the other hand, was big on the Beatles and like Elton John. So like that was kind of like where my first...
He was just out here recently, wasn't he, Elton John?
I believe so.
I think so.
Yeah. He was just out here like not too long ago.
So that was like that's like the earliest stuff that I can remember hearing in my household. But then it was my brother who kind of introduced me into rap music.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all like, he was more alternative. I was definitely come up on like mainstream stuff. So the Tupacs, the Biggies, the Wu-Tangs, the Bone Thugs and Harmony, East 1999 was my first rap album that I ever heard.
That's dope.
It was on a train.
Crazy.
And they was spitting like they was going crazy.
It was, so it was on, I remember.
And it was a little weird. I remember when it came out, people were like, yo, what's this?
Right.
Like,
He said, okay, I guess it was alternative.
I remember exactly. Yeah. That was like, I was probably 8 or 9 on a train to Montana with my brother and family.
this is going to Montana.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just remember having this Discman or
That's a
Walkman
movie.
and just having the headphones, and I'm like scrolling, and I was super into like the liner notes.
And you was like making your old bars at this point?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, he already doing
But I
work?
definitely was catching like grooves. You know what I mean? There was definitely something about the music. I would say, even to this day, it takes me many listens before I'm listening to the lyrics. I'm music centric.
That's
I'm
your
vibe
producer
centric.
brain.
Yeah, I'm like vibe centric, energy centric, and then I'll be like, oh, what are you saying? Oh, okay, dope. But when the music hits me, so that was like the Bone Thugs and Harmony, the Tupacs, and my first rap album I ever bought myself was Juvenile 400 Degrees.
Wow.
Damn. Yeah.
He going way back. Okay.
South.
Yeah. So I was big.
This is you being in San Diego.
Growing up, I mean, on MTV was Big Timers, Manny Fresh.
Yeah.
Back That Ass Up.
Oh,
you know, that was prime time.
There's a fine motherfucker back that ass up.
Right. And
Call me Big Daddy.
So I didn't know what like underground hip hop was, honestly, until maybe like freshman, sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I listened to like Grouch and Eli, Living Legends, from LA, Hieroglyphics from the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until hearing like 93 Till Infinity from Souls of Mischief that was like, boom, I want to make that. And I saw it. I was big into like bodyboarding at the time. And I saw it on someone use it in a bodyboarding video clip. And I was like, wait, what is that? And then I did my research.
So after you heard that clip from them bodyboarding, you was like, damn, I like them, what they talking about. You looked up.
No, it was just the music.
Oh, okay.
No, the track that they used, the soundtrack that they used in these clips, I was like, yo, what is that? And it happened to be Souls of Mischief. And I just went, that was like one of my first, them. And
it took you to a new world.
And DJ Premier, there was a song, like a single he had with this one group called Pitch Black. And I can't remember the name of the song, but I heard
you
it
got
again.
a good memory. You going way back. You got names of albums and shit.
Bodyboarding videos. It's crazy. Like I was into like everything from like this group called Rufio, which was like hardcore, like emo, like punk music, and then like Souls of Mischief, DJ Premier. So the versatility towards that, like, and that's when I got introduced to Grouch and Eli, Living Legend, all that. It all came to like, yo, I want to make this.
That's dope.
And then like also I was growing up in Bonita, Chula Vista, South Bay. You already know reggae is a heavy influence in the South Bay. I'm in San Diego, reggae is a huge influence. So I was also in that world simultaneously. So I got a lot of influences from friends who were in reggae bands
You were almost in a band, weren't you?
I hosted mostly in my garage. I kind of partake a
Well,
little bit, and then I let all the good guys who are better at what's that?
Were you nervous to actually get in the band?
Oh, for sure. It was. I just looked at it as being fun, but then I saw it's like playing a sport when you were young, like. Oh, I can dribble, and then you go play at the rec, right? And you're like, oh shit, there's people. I gotta step my game up.
Really dribble.
Yeah, so that was me. I was like, oh, I can play drums. I got a drum kit. Like I can play drums. And then I had some kids from school. Like, y'all play music? Okay, let's come to my garage. And they can play. And I was just like, okay, let me learn. You know, I've always been. Still
I'm going to observe at this
someone
point.
Who like will always be like, yo, I gotta learn something, right? But I went from the drums to the keys because I saw the homie playing the keys. And it was all, again, the sound, the vibe, the energies, the sounds, the tones that were coming out of that keyboard. I was like, I want to do that. And that's kind of like, I'm going back and forth in time. But the keyboard also was like a big thing. Like, obviously, the keyboard led to the keyboard, to the drum machine, to the production, you know. So,
with your brother.
All over the place.
No, for sure. So, because like you said, you got an inspiration from all emo, rapping. So, it's all different type of deal. With your brother inspiring you doing music, you still type with your brother now?
Yeah. Yeah, he actually at one of our shows.
He actually
last show.
He just pulled up to our last show.
That was the first time he saw us perform.
So that was cool. Like he's family, but he hasn't. I've just moved back from the Bay. I would say like right before the pandemic, and so there was many years where he didn't have the ability to see stuff that I do.
Right.
So this was really like the first opportunity that he took, and he pulled up. And
what was that like for you with him being, this is the first time? I'm sure like you probably look forward at some point.
Oh man, it's dope. It's family. You know, I was telling him the last time that he did see me do something perform live, it was probably 10, 11 years ago, and I completely bombed it.
I was about to say, was it trash or was it, what was that
left
like?
there thinking like, oh,
this ain't it. This ain't it, brother.
He needs to retire.
Right, it was local here too in San Diego, so like there was some homies that I knew from high school that pulled up, like a bunch of people, and I just like, but it was dope because for me, I stuck with it. It could have easily made someone be like, oh man, like
that's dope that he saw it like that and then he saw it now.
Like, that's the progression. Really so it was like, damn, that's
he knows. He knows
you was trash on this thing. But he's like, bro, I see you now. Right. You really doing your thing.
Yeah. So that was really dope. And
no, that's straight.
Is that your brother?
That's my brother right there.
Yeah, you ain't even gotta worry about that. That's all good. we love that because that's really showing like we are right here. Like it's not so
it's real.
That's really we don't care about that.
Yeah, bro. So I've pulled from all kinds of influences up until this point, and it's dope having conversations with some peers about like hip hop history because mine's so like linear in the mainstream, and then I have learned so much about like the underground stuff and then alternative world hip hop, and there's so much like I was like in a little box when it came to like rap music.
So like you said, it was only mainstream. All you knew was like,
right. I can tell you everything about Big Pun. I can tell you everything about like Biggie, Tupac, right? The 50 Cent came out, right? Jay-Z, obviously, but I had at the same time I was listening to Jay-Z heavy, I had no idea who Big L was really, and then you tap into these alternative. It's like the multiverse, like the Marvel universe, right? There's like these people, and there's so many links to all these mainstream people in the underground scene that are.
You gotta look.
It's a real universe.
Yeah. And then you hear stories where you're like, oh shit, you were in the room and so recorded that, but that's how you got that. All these crazy. That's what I'm loving. That inspires me when I sit down and do the music. Is like the stories too. And that's kind of what like on brand with Platform Collection, and when I joined them was like it's all about the story, tell the story, and that's always kind of been like
because everybody got a story, and it's like somebody can always relate to somebody else's story, because that's a lot why I'm even doing this like this. Like I said, I always promote what people are doing out here, but it's more so like your story. So for you, like what inspired the music for you? I know your uncle, he already was doing his thing with music. What?
Yeah, my uncle was doing it. So there was like music early. I have memories of like sitting on his lap and him playing like the bass or guitar. So like it was always kind of there. Yeah, slapping
the bass.
And then like I had a cousin who he just had like really good taste in music. Like now that I look back on it.
And he was older than you?
Yeah, he was older. He was like a good 4 years older than me. So I was like his little cousin, almost like his little brother.
The protege.
Yeah. And so he would slide me like, he'd buy a tape and then slide me a tape, buy a CD, slide me a CD. And he'd just be putting me up on like what eventually became like literally like the life I live now is like listening to those people at that stage like sent me in that direction of like independent hip hop and like underground hip hop, really just independent hip hop. Like I didn't know, oh, you could just do this on your own. And there were people that were doing it.
Right.
There were people that were like largely successful, like cute, like, oh, they're rich. Oh, and he just does that. Oh, there's no label. Like there's no, I didn't, that I think got my interest more than almost the music at first. I was like, oh, that's a different world. I want to know about that. And then naturally I just started like diving into the music, and then I became a fan. And then I felt like I started to realize like, oh, once I got the difference between like what mainstream music was and like what independent and underground music was, like once I really figured that out, like I was like, oh, okay, mainstream is like, that's like that's just a frosting on the world. Like that's just all the stuff that we really all can kind of agree on. Like, hey, do you like to cry? Okay, yeah, here's like a crying song. Hey, do you like to dance? Here's a dance song. Like it's just the basics.
Right.
But underground music, like, yo, somebody wrote like a 2-hour song about a candle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or like they just bar out for like 5 minutes and you're just hearing this dude like come from the gut on like some real heavy feelings. You know what I mean? Like that, man, my mind expanded from that point on. And then I've never done anything different. Honestly, I can honestly tell you that I've never done anything different. Once I started pursuing like a world of hip hop, like I've never left it. And so like I learned how to produce, and I almost immediately started rapping because I immediately wanted to do it. But I learned, I taught myself the technical side of it. I think I've always had like that talent, and I think I get it from my uncle because he was technical. He could figure out instruments. Like he'd just pick it up and start playing it, and it was dope. And I've always had that, so I used that to my advantage really early on. So like I got to get into rooms very early on, like with like people that I looked up to. You know what I mean? Like, so being in rooms with those people, watching them create, I think that kind of opened my mind to like just the possibility that you could do it.
Right.
Like it wasn't just some shit I'm watching on TV. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's, to me, that's like the most important thing. Like even what you do, what we do, like, I think the most important thing we can do is be an example. Like, because I know what it is to not have that, to not have like that, to go through up into that point. I was just trying to figure it out until I got into those rooms. I was like, damn, how is it even possible? Like it must be impossible.
Yes.
And then all you need to know is one person or see one person do something that you want to do.
To inspire you.
And it's a wrap. Like you have no more excuses.
You're like, oh, that is possible.
Yeah. You can't lie to yourself.
He did
anymore. Yep.
Right.
And that's what it is. And I think like for me, like the inspiration in the music was that. It's always been that journey on like, okay, now my goal in life is figuring myself out. Like that's really what it is. And I have this really dope job that we get, like we were just did this big show the other day, packed house, and I get to stand up there and like do some shit that I made, and I'm gonna test it, and it is nerve wracking, it is scary. Everyone's lying who says it's not. It's fucking scary. Like when you first get up there and you're like, damn, are they gonna like this shit? Like, do they really like this shit? Do
you feel it's gonna always be scary?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. You know what I mean? Like I'm always making some shit that I'm like, damn. This I don't even know if they're gonna like this. Like, because to me, like, otherwise, what are we like? Why are we even doing it? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not trying to push yourself past that comfort feeling, then to me, like, at the very least, you're not making like above average art. Because above average art is you're always doing it. You're always pushing like your fear level. And to me, like this job, standing on stage performing, is like the greatest place to test that fear level ever. So like doing it a lot, like you get a rush, like, you know, like it really is a rush. There's nothing better than it at all. And when it's high, it's high. And when it's low, it is the lowest. Like, let me get into bed and not come out of bed for a week.
Because you obviously experienced both.
Yeah, you can't be good. You're not good if you haven't. Like if you're like, I've always been dope. Bullshit. It's bullshit.
Well, that show I did 11 years ago, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that made the last week. that much sweeter.
And you didn't stop.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You didn't stop. You only got better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Only got better. That's a pun. Yeah.
What was high school like for you?
Ooh, high school wasn't like my greatest years.
Mm-hmm. Why you say that?
I didn't have the wherewithal, knowledge. You know, they always say that if you knew now, if you knew then what you know now.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So I played sports for a few years, and then I found weed, and then.
You said I fell. Where, on the ground? Like, oh shit!
The homie
woke up 5 years later.
Friend. Hey, weed.
We were camping, and we went and snuck up and we were camping at like Cardiff area, like Del Mar area.
You got high for the first time camping?
That's
so far.
Yeah,
that's dope, right? That seems like the way it's supposed. That's the perfect
like
way.
And like we were like on the beach, and then we snuck into these little bushes. So that we weren't,
this is a movie.
Seen and
You
shit.
You sure you didn't just see this?
I was gonna say
he's like, wait a minute, I didn't do that.
No, but go ahead.
So yeah, and then it was a pipe like that one on the table right there, and man, I remember hitting it and just like boom, 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 like hella coughing. And then sports kind of like. I didn't make one team because I transferred schools, and then that's before the lesson of the music. That's when I did quit. I was like, I didn't make the team. Politics. My excuse was like, finding an excuse to not try harder next year or the next time. I just like got butthurt.
Like they'll never treat me right.
Yeah. And then that event happened. We smoked weed, and then that's the weed. I guess, fucking the way the universe works, it almost like. Put me into this thing because I listened to that Bone Thugs reference was an 8 or 9 year old me. Now we're talking high school. I still wasn't from that 8 or 9 to where I found weed.
Right.
I wasn't making music. You know what I mean?
You're just taking it in.
I was listening to this. I was a consumer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to think of like the very first.
So were you like a stoner? Consider like you know what I mean, like
sure.
You already considered yourself a stoner after the first time you smoked weed.
You were hooked,
guilty by association. You know what I mean?
Oh, because everyone else around you.
Else around you.
Yeah, because the people I ended up choosing to hang around with were the stoners, the dreadhead, the like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The reggae cats.
So once you hit that first pipe, you was like, okay, all my homies smoke weed. We do it.
Well, that's all the homies that I was there with already had started smoking weed.
So they introduced you to it, and you was like, okay, shit, this is what y'all doing, huh? Okay.
And you for sure weren't looking for people who weren't smoking weed.
Right.
You started hunting those people down.
Right? Yeah. So no, high school was cool, and then like it was like everyone has a story of the ups and downs in high school. You know what I mean? I wasn't prom king, but I wasn't class clown or somewhere right in the middle. I wish I would have done band. That was my only thing in high school. I wish.
You're doing it now, so
exactly.
So
but it would have been nice to get that free training, right? Yeah. It would have been.
So nice. I had friends who were taking like guitar theory, music theory, right? And like one of those guys I'm referring to now plays in one of the most famous reggae bands out now. And, you know, not to say like, I could have done that too, kind of thing. But I've seen it the whole way though. Seen it the whole way. And I have another friend who's like your uncle who can literally play the trumpet and fucking drum with his foot and then like blink his eyes and play the guitar. Like this dude's crazy. So I had a lot of people who influenced me musically who have gone on to do things, but it's I don't have regrets, but the only thing I was like that one thing is like, oh man, band.
It's almost like a what if. Like I wonder what that would have been. Like.
Yeah. And then the end of high school was kind of just like
you're gonna have to like that.
A lost boy. Fucking A. Because
you did say like we all got ups and downs, so I guess that's one of your
experimented other than weed, and then it just became a mess.
So that was one of your down points in high school.
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely had like.
Did it feel down at the time? Did you kind of?
Or you felt like you was going on the right path? You're like, this is it.
I knew that in the moment that like my subconscious just knew better.
Oh damn!
What made you even keep going if you already knew like this is fucking stupid? But you kept. I mean, maybe the crowd or what kept you?
Self-love. That's a big topic in my life now that I talk about, like self-love.
Hey, I'm all about that shit. So
yeah, so there was not a lot of self-love, like a lot of decision makings for the better. It was almost like, I tell this to a lot of people nowadays too, like do things with love, not for love. And I was the complete opposite in high school. I was doing everything for the validation. Anything to be like, yo, that's the homie, or anything to be, oh, yo, he got it, or anything to be like, yo, he's blah blah blah. Kind of chasing
that love,
people's recognition instead of just being me. Shit, I was a late bloomer on being me. Say that much because I was so like do everything my mom said, right? And so I just learned obedience in a weird way.
And that was your rock, since I mean, like, this is all we got,
right? So I was just kind of like, and even in high school, like, with my friends, I guess my passive traits kind of just like let like people kind of just
walk over you type shit.
Yeah, pull me wherever. Hey, let's go do this dumb shit. I'm like, oh,
well, fuck it, y'all fucking with me, so I go.
But experience is your best teacher, right? We talked about that before the interview. Like, I did a lot of shit that got me into some shit that I knew not to do again. You know what I mean? So I was quick with that. I would definitely not make the big. I would say, well, you can put it in whatever box you want to, but I would say like bigger things that happened. There was a lot of small things that I kept doing out of stubbornness. But like there would be big things where I got myself hurt or somebody else hurt, and I'm like, oh, no. You met your
this is the breaking point. It's like, okay, now I might stop.
Yeah, it was always a big like, oh, I'll poke, and then like
until that bear turn around and get me your ass.
Right, and then I'd be like, oh, just kidding, no, I didn't mean it.
Right.
And so, no, yeah, high school is cool. It's fun talking about it now,
because you can look back and you're like, damn, I know that wasn't the move, or I shouldn't have done that, or this should have been better here.
But even like a few years back, I would have talked about it from a different perspective. You know what I mean?
Like, like denial, kind of
more or just focusing on maybe more of the negative.
Oh,
stuff.
like it was a loss
instead of just accepting for what it is. Yeah, we have no one's in a comparison way. Like, man, mine wasn't as good as so and so. You know what I mean? But nowadays, it's like I love, like we're talking about self-love. I love me more than ever. So now I'm like, everything that has happened is for a reason, and good or bad, you know, we're here. I've had the downfalls that haven't stopped me from doing things that I want to do. And I read a meme the other day, and they said the person with like struggle has like builds character, right? So yeah, there's definitely some struggle.
Of course, but you got your ups too.
Yeah, you persevere. Exactly. There's wins and losses in life. I think Noah James, our guy Noah James, once said like, those L's, those aren't losses, those are lessons.
Right.
And
I heard that shit before, and like I definitely like believe in that same shit. Like you said, like those things, those experiences. That's like, instead of adding up, like, goddamn, this was what the fuck I do here. It's like, oh, I learned from this shit.
Yeah, but we have a choice too. You can make it a loss, and again, so
and
a few years ago,
what's the point? Yeah, you know what I mean, like, what is the point?
It's just bullshit sitting on you now. What was high school like for you?
I mean, I played sports, so like, you know, like it was cool. It was. I wasn't like him, like I wasn't like the prom king thing or anything like that, but I played sports like all 4 years. I had a group of friends. I've always been kind of like a leader, even when I was like a little kid. Like I've always been. I know now as an adult, when I look back on it, I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing. I just had a tendency to like, hey, everybody, y'all here's an idea. Like I was always that guy. Like, yo, I got an idea. And so, you know, when you're like that, and I think I've always kind of been like an empathetic person. Like I'm like, people have always told me like, oh, you're like a kind person. People have always told me that. And I don't really know what I say that to say like, I don't really know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they mean by that exactly, but I've been told you're
empathetic.
I just feel like, I definitely think that I can be empathetic. Yeah, I think I can be empathetic because, and I think I struggle with like answering it because I don't feel like I'm trying to be though, because I feel like being empathetic is simply like, it's just a smart way to live. Like I'm not doing it because I'm like, oh, I have this big heart, and I'm like, I think it's really dumb to not be empathetic.
So it's like you're saying like, I'm not doing it for people to look at me and be like, oh damn, he got a big heart.
I just think being empathetic is an intelligent way to live. Like I think it's not intelligent to not have empathy, because empathy helps you understand the world better. Like that's just a better way to understand the world. Like if I know that, if I could look at you and go like, is it possible that he has a pain that's a real pain that he's willing to like kill and die for, that I have no idea of and I don't feel it at all, but it still is a real thing. Yeah, it is. That's possible. If you say it's not, that's weird to me. Like I think something's wrong with you if you're not empathetic. Like I think you have a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, what I feel like my whole life, I've learned to like, I think my whole life has been like just a voyage on trying to figure that part out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, like what can this be? Can we live here and be like okay with how we are? Like, because I feel like as human beings, we have like a lot of issues with ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we constantly trying to figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of the reasons you interview people.
Right.
You're trying to figure shit out. Like even
shit.
for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and so if we all can agree that we are all going through that, like that's a real thing. So that means that thing can be studied, that thing can be worked on, that thing can probably be mastered at some point, or you could at least try to. And in like high school was when I was opened up to that, because I think I met like a few key people. Like there was like, I had a friend who was just like really into like he was just into science, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I went to a Catholic high school. So
at the time, were they still giving whoopings?
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Okay.
But that wasn't that far off. I'm sure it wasn't.
I had to ask. I'm
because I would hear stories back in the day, like, man, if you used to come here
with the ruler and
that
all
was real.
Type of shit. Yeah.
That was real.
I wasn't there, but you know.
And so like in a Catholic high school, like that's a weird thing because it's like it's a religious high school, but my homie was like super into like science and explaining things, like how he was the first person who told me like in a scientific way, here's a theory of like how God could be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like this scientifically, there's some answers we don't know that leave it open for there's these like
a higher power.
Yeah, and I just had never thought like that. You know what I mean? Up until that point, I was just par for the course, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever's around me, whatever's on TV, that was my life. And that made me think like, oh shit, so there's so you can just think about this shit on your own? Like nobody has to tell you to think about it. You know what I mean?
Like, wait,
I was waiting for the class.
Actually think for myself.
Right. And high school did that for me. So like for that, I really, really appreciate high school. But as far as like socially and all of that, I always felt like a little out. Even though like I said, I played sports, I had friends. I always felt a little out because the stuff that I wanted to do, which was like music and art, like it was hard to meet people who wanted to do that like for real, like how I wanted to do it.
And almost pissed you off that everybody not want to go as hard as you want.
Right, because I was like, y'all don't see like how dope this would be to do. Like, and you know, obviously I was too young to understand that everybody has their own path. But so like in high school, I did feel like a lot of the times I felt like, oh, I'm not connecting. Like I'm not connecting with people. Like I know everybody, but I don't know like one person like really, really good.
Right.
Because I'm like so to myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm always in here. And but like overall, like I don't see it as a negative thing. It's just not something that when I look back, because I have friends that still hang out with like their homies from high school. That was never my reality. Like pretty much when I was done with high school, that was it. Because I was on to the next thing.
Right.
Like, we're supposed to like go do this next thing. Like I was always been that. I call myself, it's weird now, I call myself a futurist, but I think I was doing it back then. Like I'm not a person who lives in the past at all. Like I don't live in the past at all. Like because of the way that I think, because of the things that I feel like I've been opened up to, I understand like time it doesn't exist, dog. Like everything that happened is not real anymore. It doesn't have to continue to exist unless you want it to. Special moments, love, great historical moments, but like your fears and shit, like that shit, you know, you could just let it go. Like you could literally just let it go. And figuring out how to do that in the best ways has been like the thesis of my life. Like that's been my whole journey. And music is a big part of that, you know?
What fears do you feel like you've let go through this process?
I just said this we were talking about Soloka. Shout out to Soloka. But like I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about what I create.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like people who don't create.
So it's like your opinion doesn't fucking matter because you're not even doing
because
shit.
I know it. Just because I know it doesn't work like that. I know, like, I truly believe, like, when I make something, it's that thing was given to me. I didn't make it. If you do this long enough and you care about it enough, like, I've bled for this shit. So, like, when I make a song, that shit is not something that I'm like, there's a struggle for that. Like, that, I earned that song. I earned that song. Because I have to feel that. I have to put myself in a place to make, if I want it to be what I want it to be, and I want it to be real. Like, that's the kind of music I make. I want it to be real.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not real in a way like that thing that we all share. That real in that way that only I know.
It's
what
real for me.
Yeah, yeah. And you're about to find out.
Right.
Like, you're going to hear it. So that has to be like, you have to get to a place to do that. And I know that every time I've ever made anything, the best way for me to make something is to, like, get open. I just try to get my mind open. And then it just seems to come in. Like, it just comes through you, and then boom, there's the song. So that's not me. Like, I can't take a bunch of credit for that. I feel like that must be how it works. That must be what inspiration is.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the source. Like, what's your favorite piece of art? Like, what's like a movie, song, like something that you're just like, dude, this is like the best. This is my favorite. Like,
I would honestly, like, my girl probably laughs at me all the time with this shit. Like, it's funny as hell, but I could watch Friday like all the time.
Right.
So
because
like,
it's a near perfect movie.
Yeah, so it's like that, and it's like
Right.
half baked, like all those movies that's like not so. And I like, you know, big
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood movies, but those type of movies, like I could recite the lines from those movies, like all type of those Fridays, like, because it's like, and it's relatable.
Yeah,
it's funny. That reminds me a lot of my family, people I know. So
I would
like,
challenge. The reason I ask this is because I would challenge that it isn't only those things. It's also the fact that what you're seeing and the reason it's lining up for you, the reason you feel the way you feel when you watch it, which is just good or whatever, happy, or maybe you cry during a part, or whatever it is, what you're actually seeing is the source. That's what the source is. Like, that feeling of like, oh shit, damn, this is dope. Like, what is that? Can you define that? Can you say what that actually, what's happening to your body?
I would just say more so like a feel, like you said, a feeling.
Right.
So I couldn't say exactly.
Exactly.
What, it's just a feeling
and it wasn't there
you.
before you saw it.
Right.
You see it and then it happens.
Then you're like, oh,
okay,
damn,
so where's that come
like
from? What is that? What does that come from? What is that thing? What's happening? You're not in the movie.
Right.
You're not watching it there as it's being filmed. You're literally just taking it in. What is that? To me, I believe that's actually something. I believe that is, if you can get good at receiving that. And as an artist, as someone who writes music, my job is to receive that. Is to receive that from the world so that I can make that and interpret it and then give it to you. That's why I always tell all my friends that are like creatives, and you as well, like, you're in this boat, like, what we really are is astronauts, bro. Like, that's what we are. You're here talking to us, asking us questions that other people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
You're finding out these things because you want to know. You're going places that other people just won't go.
Right.
All right. And then what's your job? It's to get that information and bring it back. So why? So that we can all look up to the skies and go like, damn, that's...
It's possible.
Oh, exactly.
It's possible.
Exactly. Bro, listen to all that shit I just said. Play it back. It's just math, bro. All of that is just math. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to look at it, it is a practice. You can practice it. You can. There are things you can do to get open. There are things that you can do to connect to people and like make the things you make matter. There is an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real algorithm. It really is that, but it's just in the real world. That's that thing when it connects, when you're watching Friday, you're like, oh shit, this shit is like when it just comes on. And you know you're not going to change it.
Oh,
you know I'm stuck now.
My part.
Yeah, exactly. When you have that feeling, what is that? Oh, it just lined up with your algorithm. Your frequency is like boom. Because someone else can watch it and be like, I know people who go like Friday sucks, which is crazy to me. But that's true.
Yeah, and that's
people
what they feel, and that's
right.
fantastic. That has nothing to do with me.
Exactly. So then that thing is actually a living, breathing thing that doesn't actually interact with everybody. It is selective. So how can I say that, oh, I made that shit? I'm the one who makes that shit. You don't make shit, bro. You get open and then it's given to you. And then
how it's received.
Right.
Whatever.
And then what we do with it is the skill. How we package it and make it, because our ultimate job is to make it look like whatever it looks like in your head. That's the job of the artist. I'm trying to make you see exactly what it is in my head. And the better I do at that, the better the art is. And so that part, that connecting to all of that, I realize that that's just a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's how I take it. I take it as a blessing. And then I try to practice it.
Right.
I try to get there as much as possible. I share it with
to
my homies.
That feeling.
Yeah, I hook up with a homie who's equally is tuned into that, and then I see like, oh shit, oh, we can make something even bigger. Oh damn, oh, it's math. That's right, it's math.
Mm-hmm.
We just put it together, and now it's math, and now we're making something else. That's dope, bro. Like, to me, it's the whole reason I even do any of it, dog.
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
So how did y'all even come about meeting?
You know the story.
Well,
better.
It was October 2018. It was a beautiful Wednesday evening. No. We used to have this event called Hip Hop Weds every Wednesday at the AC Lounge in North Park, hosted by Kali, this guy right here, and the homie DJ Root. Shout out DJ Root. And when I moved down here from the Bay in 2018, I was looking for something to kind of get my feet wet. You know, I make beats at this time. That's pretty much all I was doing. And I needed to get these beats and find some dope artists to work with. So I saw a flyer through somebody put it on their story and clicked on it. And I saw on the bottom. So it was like it's called Elbow Room. So it was an open mic night.
Yeah.
And on the bottom it said,
you're like, you're bringing back memories.
It said open producer slots available, first come, first serve. Right. So I responded to the person who was attached to the flyer, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" Blah blah blah.
That was a sign.
This is who I am, right? And I pulled up, and I was hella early. No one was even like there yet. I'm like, "Oh, where? Okay, cool." And I signed up, played beats, listened to everybody else, and I was like, "Okay, this is like something that I can get with."
I get my feet wet.
Yeah. And so I just kept attending. Even when I wasn't playing beats, just knowing that, like, I discovered that even towards like the ends of the night, they would have a cipher where after the last artist, whoever was there, they'd be like, all right, we're gonna just play some beats. And at times it would just be the DJ playing the beats, and they would just freestyle. And I'd be there with my backpack, my laptop, my gear, ready to go. And be like, oh, yo, like, I can play beats.
Like, you got some beats? Like,
yeah,
I got right in my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So it was literally just show face. I can play beats. Oh, it's dope. Oh, what you guys are doing is dope. Okay, cool. Then we started just introducing each other, just real, not really even with the idea of doing anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I approached them saying like, yo, if you want, I can fill in for the sound. You know what I mean? I'm an engineer as well. I can get in with the sound. And then it started doing that.
Develop from that.
Right. And then I got invited to go. He had mentioned earlier about the Happiness of Pursuit Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, hey, you want to work the Happiness Pursuit Festival doing the sound. So at this time, still I wasn't I hadn't connected with any artists yet with the beats, and I got in with these guys doing sound at Thought Fest. And from then on, it was like, yo, I like your beats. I gave them a pack of beats. We started putting out singles. And then we just decided, yo, we should have this band, this group, called the Invisible Panchos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here we are today.
What sold you on, like, this is the one I want? And if sold you on him, was there others that you reached out to that you wanted to work with that didn't work out with, but what sold you on him? If that is the case. And I mean, if you didn't reach out to somebody else, and that's the case.
I like the way he words the things with it's math. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I don't know. Like, yes, I've worked with plenty of artists around the scene. Successful songs. You know, we put out videos, put out songs, ran it for a minute, and it was something different. Like how he said earlier, he was trying to find someone who can run how he's trying to run. the playbook that he's on, and it kind of just when things fit, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? When things fit, it musically, his energy, my energy, we met mentally and spiritually. I was always tapped into this loose realm that he was already kind of like focused on, and he definitely has helped me as far as like also like the mental aspect and all the conversation, like the beyond the music, right? Beyond the brain, like going into like the DMT, right? The other, what else is there? There's something else there. Everything else aligns. If you just do this A and B kind of thing, right? If you do if this, then this, right? And I think those conversations translated into the source, right? It was just kind of like, oh shit, I would be super inspired. Like, yeah, this something like how you said the example of like Friday, when you're sitting watching Friday, you're like, yo, this is the one, right? There was just conversations where it would tap into like, yeah,
this is the one.
Right. Not necessarily like, yeah, this is the one. I just kept following this. What I mean by this is I've given I understand that there's control in the mind, but I also feel free kind of like putting it out and then letting it do its thing. And then when I cross something, I'm like, oh shit,
that's what this was that I put out.
It's real. You know what I mean? Manifesting is real. Writing ideas down is real. Having the whiteboard with thoughts is real. Literally, that's another idea of tapping into the source. You know what I mean? Right. Like, for example, if I were to sit here right now and we played a game of rock, paper, scissors, but you're saying don't say anything. If we went and said rock, paper, scissors, and hey, we said it, we heard it, you know what I mean? It's there, but what is that? Right? Same thing. We had a really dope conversation the other day about like controlling how I was like the other day, I was like, you know what? I can control how I like feel. Like I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. You know what? And he's like, oh, you can also control, we were talking about controlling thoughts. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. All these things are in our control. And I think that to tie that into the question is just the
realization.
The realization of like, this is the path. This is the path that I'm on. I'm not thinking too much of like the why. I'm just I'm doing a lot of accepting these days of like, this is it. Why?
It was more like a feeling you had.
Absolutely.
Instead of the why this is it. It's like, no, it's a feeling that y'all created that made me feel this is why, basically.
Yeah, and there was just like a lot of aha moments. Like I'd say something, oh, dude, I was singing this thing. Or he'd say something, oh man, I was doing this thing. Oh, I play him some, oh man, I was singing this. Or he'd play me this. I'm like, oh shit, what about this? And it's just, vibe is a vibe.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's like, you guys vibe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Your partner vibe. So it's, to put it in words is
it is kind of
hard because things just when you go with the flow and again, broken record, tap in with like the wave. It's fun to just ride it and be inspired by it. Yeah.
Did you feel the same way like when y'all first met up together doing music and he reached out, or whoever reached out to who? Did you feel the same way on that initial conversation of y'all wanting to do music together? Or were you kind of more like, I'm on my own shit? Because like how you said, like you were looking for somebody going hard as you, and coming up, you was already trying to do this way back when. Yeah. Now it's like, well, I don't know if you're going to really go as hard as me. So did you feel the same way he did?
Well, one, that's a great question, by the way. One, I feel like that about everybody. Like everybody I meet at first, I'm like, oh,
you're not going to do like I'm doing.
I have to see a lot.
Right.
Like I have to see a lot. And like you said, just even in the way he was explaining it, like just showing up. Like he really did. Like when he was telling those stories, I was like, yeah, that is right. Like when the DJ would be like, man, I want to take a break. We're like, damn, we need someone to play beats. We got open mic. He was there. And he would have moments like there would be some dope MCs in the house that night, or somebody, you know, like some headliners would come down or whatever. And he would just so happen to have been in the right place by showing up all the time. And there would be moments. And then people would be like, yo, what was that beat? Like, you know, or what was that beat?
Right.
And then,
yo, I made that one.
Yeah. And so I start, you know, I'm a rapper, so I'm listening to his music too. And I'm like, damn, I love his musical palette. Because what I recognized right away was like his talent. I was like, oh, he's different. This dude's different. Like he's talent. He's a musician. Like this is music. He's not just a producer. Like because just the way he would put together his beats.
And when you say just a producer, like what does that actually mean?
I mean, like, and I meant like he's not just a beat maker, like he's a producer. Like a beat maker, I think, which is just as dope. Because
No, but he's different from just
like I could tell,
maker.
like I could tell, like he was trying to construct feelings. Like I was like, oh, he's trying to like construct, like this is not. He's not
about the source,
right? He's not just. Aren't just the hard drums and like a sound to make people dance or something. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, it was building up. There was different parts to it, and I was like, oh, that's how I make music. So that was the first thing, and then he literally just introduced himself one night. He was just like, yo, because I would always be DJing or hosting or doing, and that spot at that time, shout out to Kali for making Hip Hop Wins. But Hip Hop Wins, man, bro, you just missed it, because it literally was like, that's like the amount of talent that has now come out of Hip Hop Wins is like pretty much everybody that's like on in the city. Like they all at some point had a moment coming through there. They either got put on from the open mic or we booked them. Like we had like Elbow Room. The thing that he would go to is you would sign up. So MCs would get 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes, and producers would get 10 minutes. And so you would just sign up. And so like we got to see like people grow from nothing to like we were like, oh, now we're booking that person who used to do it. Now we're booking them on our main show, where we only book like acts that are killing it. We'll let you open up for that. So there was a way to like graduate, and it was so dope, bro. Like, but that brought out a lot of talent, and he was definitely one of the shining people in that. But then on top of that, once I got to know him, I was like, oh, okay, like he just asked the right questions. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't just about like a lot of people, if they see what we were doing, especially at that time with the festival and all that, a lot of times like people would just ask about like the shiny shit. You know what I mean? Like the shit that just like the shit you take Instagram pictures of.
Right.
But not like, yo, publishing. Yo, like how does scheduling work? Like how do you guys do this? Like how do you, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's asking like the real question.
He's looking for the future and beyond that. It's like he's not looking just what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
He's looking for can be something, bro.
Exactly. And that's how I knew, because I know like if you at least have that part, me and like one of the founders of Platform Collection, the company that manages us, that does a bunch of stuff, they Eddie, like one of the things that we always have done very like early on is like tried to find talent like that. Like people that aren't just good at the art or the craft, but also good at seeing the vision, like seeing it all the way down at like, what like you want to look like later on, like what kind of music are you putting out at the end of your career? Do you already know? Because it would help for you to know now,
right? Because
if we could really plan this, we can like really dive in. But if you only know pieces of that, there's only so much I can. There's only so much anyone can
so much
really
I can fill in.
Exactly. And like, so I feel like with what he came to us, he had like a really dope foundation. And then he's just already an open-minded dude. And then like, this dude is like, he's humble in interviews, but he's for real. Like to me, he's the top, but he's at least in the top 3 producers in the city of of just consistent, like everything he's doing is getting him up a level. Like every time he does something, it's putting him up another level, where it's not just like a level of popularity. It's a level of like, oh, he's going from this price point to this next price point. You know what I mean? Like that's real. That's really happening. That's something that's actually happening to us. And even listening to him talk, bro, like I was like, I just felt like super, like even hearing y'all talk, I was like, damn, this is dope. Like the shit that has been happening for us lately is like, it's been really like a blessing. Like, damn, it's really happening now. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is still something that like I'm coming to grips with. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you've been in like the war for so long, and they're like,
when is he going to get goddamn better?
Yeah. Wait, you don't have to shoot nobody right now? Yeah. Oh, wait, we can put the gun down right now? What? Like, what? Oh, we can kind of take this in now? Like, oh, okay, now we can really work on it. Now we can like, because you know what it is we just started to have like a fan base. And that's, it sounds so simple. And I bet you people who watch this, who don't do music or art or don't understand entertainment business, like until you're talking to your own fans, like your own fans,
right?
Like the people that like are having a conversation with you, until you're doing that, like you are kind of just searching for that.
Right.
And so once you got, like, we're starting to have that more now, and it's such a like a relief, but it's also like it's put us on our business because we're like, oh, okay,
we got something to grind.
This is it, yeah. Like we're just making shit, like tons and tons of music because we're trying to flood next year. And we have big things that like we want to do. Like we're jumping on tour later, you know, at the beginning of this next year, and it's our first like real tour. You know, like, so, and we got to make music. So like, I know for me and him were talking about this, like, it is interesting. Like when it comes from, when it starts to become like, oh, okay, this is your job. Like, oh yeah.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah. It's a dope feeling. But you also like, oh, you can't just like make a beat and then like, oh, I'm gonna just chill now.
No.
Now you need to get to work.
I got to put in some overtime.
Yeah, exactly. And that's dope. But it's tough, but like it's a blessing. I'm trying to remind myself of that constantly.
Because it's something that you've been striving to do, that now that you're creating income, it's like, wait, this is my job now?
Bro, most underground rappers have PTSD from the game, bro. Just from the game. Like, because you go through so much shit. There's so many parts of this.
The highs and the lows.
Yeah, dog. Like so many parts. The parts that people never see. Like the politics of the game, like all of it. Like booking, how that works. Most people have no idea how that works. How do you get a show? Like, think about that. You think you could just apply? Like, it don't work like that. Like, what have you had to have done to get a headlining show? Yeah. Like, it's a lot. And like for us, headlining this is the first year we've actually started a headline shit. And like, that's a crazy feeling to me still. It's a crazy feeling to me.
Being a headliner.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not like we're in front of thousands, but we can fill a spot with our own fans, and that's dope.
And they're gonna book you for that.
Yeah. Right. And they're gonna book us for that. Yeah. Exactly. And then that's just how it works. So imagine like trying to explain to someone, how do you do that? You're asking me about a lifetime. Right. Yeah, you're asking me about like literally a lifetime of experiences. I don't know how you do it. You just gotta like not quit. Like I truly believe that too. Like I truly believe that. Really, the biggest thing to this is just don't quit.
Right. I heard a comedian say, Eric Griffin, say this, and for his fellow comedians, it was like, in this game, you don't fail, you quit. Yeah. And I believe it applies to any art, any creative lane that you want to do. If you keep at it, you're going to hit wherever your goals may be. You're going to get there. Yeah. It may not be today, tomorrow, week, month, year. Maybe it's 5 years. Maybe it's 10 years down the road. I was thinking about somebody. I was thinking about maybe even him. He didn't even really break acting after his comedy.
Eric Griffin?
Until his mid to late 40s.
I mean, you hear about how much of a trend that is nowadays too, like where people are like, man, I've been at this for 15 years. Like, and this is my first thing. Like, that's way more common now. Like, because now that we can all see everything on the internet, like you're now like, more out there. Yeah.
Somebody could come across your video that never would have came across it. Somehow it
starts there.
Right.
And you've been doing it for 15 years.
Right. He kind of funny. Now I was looking at him like, he been doing this shit since 2003?
Yeah.
Oh, how come I never heard of him?
Yeah. Think about older actors when you were a kid. You thought you saw them when they were old.
You're right? Like, oh, he been popping.
Yeah, like, but they were like way cracking before that. And it's this perspective, you know, it's really cool where you catch people on their journey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because people might see this video the first time and be like, oh, this is the first thing they're going to see of the Invisible Panchos, you know? And that'll take them through. And there's going to be other people who've been following us who's waiting to have this video
exactly released, they're like, damn, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Right.
So with him saying you the humble one, do you believe like what he believed in you, how dope of a producer you are? Do you believe that in yourself?
I do.
Also going like with self-love, I'm sure like the way he was talking, that kind of more so inspired, more so self-love within yourself.
Yeah.
So with him putting you in that like top tier, do you believe that as well?
I believe that I make the stuff that I truly love. Whether that's ranked top 5.
There's no need for a tier for you.
You know what I mean? Like, this last year has been big on my not diving into what other people think about my craft.
Right.
And that would play a role on the come up, would be like, yo, people love this song. I'm gonna try to make this kind of song.
Now you're making it for them though.
Right. And just for doing it for the love, not with love kind of thing. And like I said, in my head, I do have this like, yo, chill, like, you know, what you do is good, but I'm not going to come out and be like, yo, man, I don't have the bravado, that ego, that like.
So you more so let my work speak, and I don't have to even say nothing about it. He says that all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm gonna let this do the talking, and I don't have to tell you guys, oh, you know how dope my shit is. You see it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That's dope. Because it's dope that the more now that I'm talking to you guys, it was more so like he inspired these things in you now, the way, I mean, I'm not sure how you was thinking prior, but more so inspired the way you think now, as in far as like how much you believe in yourself.
Sure. And I know he doesn't like that. I'm not putting that on him, like on his, like as a responsibility, right? But it's definitely me. If I be honest and practice gratitude, then for sure, I definitely.
Thanksgiving's coming up.
Right. You know? So I definitely am thankful for crossing paths and the lessons learned and the messages being passed on and the wisdom and the experience. And I've had a lot of people in my life always say, oh, hey, you know, I did this, I don't do this, I did this, don't do this. And you're stubborn and you're young, you don't want to listen, right? Like, call it right time, right place. But like things that are being said, it's like, oh shit. Maybe it's because I'm tapped in to the source again. Here we go again with the source.
Hey, the source, it's like, that's the move.
I see, we talk about things, I learn ideas, right? I learn lessons, and then the fact that I gained that knowledge, it's like I've told them like, yo, we talked about this thing, and now I see it in others more, or like I'm practicing how to not be so stubborn or not be so like sarcastic in like maybe a detriment where it's like maybe offends somebody. But then I'll be in other circles and I'll see somebody or hear somebody say something like, oh, that's
what I used to do.
Right. Like I see it in.
I was that asshole.
Right.
Now I see it. I'll never want to be that again.
Yeah. Right. So I've gone all in on the idea of like controlling everything from the shoulders up is on you. You know, I've always been like this with like say like the 9 to 5. I love people, or I would always say like in characteristics of myself is like accountability and resourcefulness. You know what I mean? And I think that, man, I lost my train of thought.
It's going to come back. Don't even trip. And if don't, then fuck it. You about to go on to the next one.
Yeah. No, but I just think that I am just going all in on the fact that like I'm responsible for everything that's happened in my life and everything that's going to happen in my life. It's on me. If someone hits me out in the street, I just think, oh, I did something. I said something. Maybe they misinterpreted something I said. And it's like, I'm not going to be like, oh, whatever. Or, silly.
It's happening.
You also could have been at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. I have all these sayings that I've been saying lately. It's like, I should just have them tattooed, right? I said the one earlier about do for with love, not for love. But it's like, also, there's the two people in this world, right? It's either things are happening for me or things are happening to me. Right. And so if some things are happening, I hear, now that idea is in my head, I'll listen to people, how they even start a sentence. Oh man, this happened to me today. This happened to me today. And it's always a mirror after that, right? Or I mean, not necessarily. Some people win the lottery. Oh, this happened to me today. I won the lottery. Yeah, but it's just the idea.
But you're just touching on the
perspective.
Right.
And so I just turned everything into like, man, that's the accountability. Like it's on me. Things are happening for me. And practicing gratitude. Gratitude. I can't say that enough right now. Gratitude. Only because I say it so much because I accept how little I had, especially like in the, you have to, when I refer to like not having that self-love, that's also not being grateful for what I did have. Right. So nowadays it's like, yo, like I got toilet paper right now. You know what I mean? I got some water to drink.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got a bed to sleep on. I got it. Whatever. You know what I mean? Everything
you have.
Yeah. So it's the focus. It's where I was mentally and where I am now is just a complete. And he's touched on this. I don't know how many times in this interview that it's attainable. It's mad. You can just change. You can just decide.
You just gotta really realize that.
Just decide.
And believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just decide. Make it happen. You know what? People get so caught up on like a thought, right? Oh, this is bothering me. You can literally just say, you know what? It's not bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
You could. It's a choice.
Mhm.
It's a choice.
For sure.
Yeah. It's a choice.
With you guys starting out, I know you started on San Diego, but then like you took it to going to LA. Do you feel like that helped or hindered you?
No, it definitely helped. I mean,
because coming back then to San Diego was like, hey, you guys weren't even out here. Or,
yeah, and it's more. I think that it's just human nature for people to be attracted to things that are more rare. So like if you're just not there all the time, but they can see it. They saw us online, like doing what we were doing. It was obviously moving. Like I think it just worked in. I think it always works in people's benefit when you're not always present. Because what is it the hard girls fonder thing?
Oh, right.
Like when you're just away from something,
they're like,
it allows people to miss that. Yeah.
They're like,
and so when you see it, it's more special. So that's for sure. That's something we kind of figured out really early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think it hurt. And now we have helped like bridge like the city. You know what I mean with LA a lot. You know, like that there's definitely a community in LA that we've helped connect with the community here in San Diego that we're part of.
And they're excited about it.
Yeah,
My experience being up there, it's like, no, they rocking with stage. Just the fact that there's like there's
this is the way I always explain it to people, like especially if you want to do this for a living. If we're musicians, so touring is a part of our career. Like it's just always going to be like we have to go to where the people that listen to our
right.
So getting another stop where you can know people and it's cool and they all know you and it's like the community's cool.
Come back.
Right. Every artist wants that.
Right.
It took San Diego a long time to figure that out because I remember when we were coming up, we'd be like, oh, LA's coming here. Nah, man, they're not getting no love.
Right.
Like nobody, the Bay, nobody, which was crazy now because they weren't doing that. Like, and because they weren't doing that, they were building their scene and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Where it took us a while to do that. But I think we're definitely that now. Like San Diego is definitely loved. I hear it a lot. Like I hear it a lot in when we go to the Bay or LA or out in the Inland Empire, like people love coming to Daygo because people are like, man, the scene here is so rich. Like there's so many different sounds, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different like backgrounds of people making music and everybody right now, you know, thankfully it is like learning to work together, you know what I mean? Which is super dope. And it's never been at this level as long as I've seen the city. It's never been at this level. We've always had like one person will get out and we're all just cheering for that person and that'll be it for years.
Right.
Where now it's like, oh, there's a lot of moving parts now. There's like in all levels of talent. You know what I mean? Like it's not just music. All the entertainment business in San Diego has grown.
Do you think that has a lot to do with, say, like back in the day when it was like LA or the Bay or whatever, that everyone who was chasing something was chasing a label, and now that everything is there's
I want to be independent.
The majority. I mean,
there's not a need to hate.
It's like the whole thing, like where the nerds in high school are now the Google techs, right?
Yeah,
it's like the indie artists who are like, oh, you're going indie, you're not going label, right? Like now the indie is
because they figured out the whole thing,
right? The whole time,
indie artists,
I can own my own thing. I can sell my own shit. Like
and
it doesn't
the
have
singular
to go
conversation about owning your masters just has driven the
they're like, wait, you can actually do that.
Yeah,
it's attainable.
And how you can upload songs now for $20 a year, $30 a year, whatever. Unlimited, so you can upload your own songs. Like,
and I just think like a successful indie artist, like just say we're just judging success on you have a fan base, like that's it. Like say that's the level that we're judging success. If you're able to do that, you've done a lot. You've learned a lot of the game just for you to even make that happen.
Right.
That doesn't happen unless you've learned parts of the game of real business tactics and real things that you have to move, especially if you're independent.
Right.
So I always feel like when it comes to like independent and underground artists, like if you're working hard and you're finding success, there's even more and more of a reason for you to not need a label at all, because they're just going to basically try to take that work off your plate.
Right.
And
eat a lot more, though.
Exactly. And take way bigger chunk of it
You're not eating
than they
so
deserve.
much.
Exactly. So could you just keep doing the reps and keep it all? Yeah, you should probably just keep doing the reps and do it all. and just accept that that's what this game is.
Right.
This game is hard work. You're asking for like, what kind of life are you asking for? You're asking for a life where you just get to make shit all day.
Like people are paying you
people pay
to do what I love.
Yeah, it should be hard.
Yeah.
It should be hard.
And it should always have that, going back earlier, talking about the nerves when you go on stage.
Yeah.
If you're not having,
because it means everything.
Right.
It should mean something.
It's like I got so much banking on this. And I love what I'm putting out.
All of it, I bank on all of it.
I put my heart on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because that could be interpreted as like, oh, you do care what they think, but it's really
no. You care what you think.
I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I want it to be shared the same way that I'm putting it out. Like I love it so much that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I really, at the end of the day, like I want you guys to love it, but if you don't, that's not gonna break me.
Right. As long as I love it, as long as it looks like what I thought it should look like.
Right, because like maybe they don't like it, but this person that heard it across the street, he's rocking with you, going crazy.
Because if the math checks out, then that means that for sure there's somebody who loves it.
Exactly.
And they're going to have that feeling, that Friday feeling.
Exactly.
The biggest tell if you care what people think is that when you step on that stage and you get nervous of them looking at you versus like you're looking at them. Like my switch recently was like,
y'all came to see me.
Everyone's here to see me.
Yeah.
Why am I?
Yeah, why am I?
At all tripping.
Yeah, give them what they wanted to see. Like they want to see you do the thing you do. Give them that thing.
It's like y'all got out the house, got dressed, drove down here, had to find parking to come see what I'm doing.
That might be your one night out.
Right.
And you better take that shit serious.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that is the biggest like, yo, you don't care about what they think because you're like, yo, I can go as hard as I do, and they won't notice if I slip a lyric, if or whatever. If I'm entertaining, if I'm putting it all out there, they're there
for the vibe,
right? And if you do, they're gonna pick you up. You know what I mean? If you have a moment, and I love going to a show, and like you can tell when somebody's fully in it, and like they break down, they have a moment, they need to have like a personal moment. And that's when you're like, damn, you really are out here. Just
that's the goal, dude. Like, that is the goal, to be out there. Like,
I'm giving them everything I got.
I'm naked.
Really.
Like literally, like I'm naked up here. Like I'm just like, here it is. Like,
you know, they used to say in public speaking, like imagine the crowd naked. It's like, no, like
I'm
put yourself on display.
I'm vulnerable. I'm putting myself out there.
I mean, if you could wrestle with that fear, like, you know what I mean? Like that, I mean, again, like I said, like we're like junkies for that shit. Like
I feel like I
always want to try to beat that fear.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the game of like resources. I'm like, oh, this person said this person said this, but here I go again. Jimmy Iovine said in Dr. Dre, that HBO documentary, he was like, fear is a powerful drug. He goes, use fear to push you towards things, not to put it in front of you as a deterrent. You know what I mean?
Like I gotta get over that.
That's the fuel.
Like, have it literally put. You don't want to go. Like your fear. No, let it literally go in. That's when you have to go in, because if you retract, that you may not get that opportunity.
Like you guys just now said, going on stage, if you're no longer scared anymore, it's like maybe the love for it is like kind of fading. Like you were scared because it's like, I love this so much and I'm putting everything on the line. That's why I'm kind of nervous to do this.
Right. And you see that with like, at least, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen it. Like when you see like documentaries and stuff of like the greats, like you see them talking about it. Like you could see it in their eyes. Like, damn, I'm going to kill it tonight. I'm going to kill it tonight. Like,
I'm gonna give it my all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that thing. I think like if you always have that, like you're always gonna be making, at least for me, art from the place that I like. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of art I like. I like art that feels like that.
Right.
You know?
With you guys working together so much, how do you guys deal with conflict? Maybe you want to go this way with this, or it's like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. Whatever that conflict may be, how do you guys be like, you know what? We work together, we're gonna squash that.
We don't really have that. I'm just I let the music honestly go. We'll collaborate on stuff. I'll be like, I'll add this, he'll add that. I'll be like, cool. Honestly, when I tell a story, but when the first song we ever did, it got my ego going because I was like, oh bro, what did he do to the beat? You know what I mean? Because he's like, yo, send me the stems. And I'm like, all right, dope. Send him the stems. And like, he's like, yo, this is the song, it's done. And I'm like, y'all ever see Spice Adams on Instagram? You know Spice Adams?
Yeah. He played football and he played basketball and shit though.
But he has this little character talking about like the guy who didn't know so-and-so sampled the song.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, what is this? And so when I'm hearing this song back, I'm like, what is this? What's going but then it was like, yo, but this is fire.
But it's hitting.
And then so it was like, I almost wanted to say something like, oh man, like I want to have my hands be the last ones to touch this, right?
Yeah.
But it was such a big, like, again, seeing the bigger picture, seeing the artist that he is at the time, I was like, again, there's something right here, you know?
Right, because before you probably would have been like, yo, you know what? I might need to take that out. But instead, when he changed, you like, you know what?
Right.
That shit actually sound cool.
Because I love to hear stuff that, well, first of all, every other artist that I've worked with I was more so like, yo, here's the beat, come over, I'm gonna record you, I'm gonna basically have the full control,
right?
For lack of a better phrase. Where he was like, I'm not the type of rapper where you're just gonna send me a beat, I need you to fill in the space, so I'm gonna send it back to you. He was an artist, you know, we're
gonna work together.
He's gonna take a painting, ask for the colors, take each color off, and then almost
redo it
in a way, but it's still the same thing. You know what I mean?
But he threw his own touches on it.
Right. And so that, again, all that process, it was like, it went from what the fuck to, yo, this is crazy to, oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt it was somewhere right in that middle ground of like, okay. And then there was it just kind of was one after another for a hot 2 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was like, yo, he was like, we're putting a song on.
We need to shoot like a year, not even like 2 months. Like a year before we even dropped Simple.
That's crazy because
it felt
talked
like
about
2
time,
months,
right? Yeah. Well, every song had a video, you know, and just it was again going back to that. It was just a run. It felt good. We meshed. We don't have a lot of musical conflicts. We're both just open minded to like the idea of creating. Like that's how you feel right now. Dope. I can take, or like he'll start something maybe and show me and like, yo, that's dope. I got inspired. Oh, I can take it. I can hear this. I'll layer this on. And not to, again, here's the pulling out of the humble bone, but like we say, like we shit hits. We shit hits, you know what I mean? Yeah. We kind of are just good at what we do.
We shit hits.
You know what I mean? Like we're just kind of good at what we do.
That's tight.
And it's okay to say that and
of course.
Know that. Like we're good.
Because you also know what you came from.
Because we are good. And again, it's good to...
Yeah, that's real. So it's good to like, you know, embrace your shit. Because like, you know, it's like, I worked for this shit.
It wasn't always this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a good... And we're just getting... I mean, we've been going for a while. But that was, again, Kill C. Ray, Gene Flow. I would make beats. He would finish the song. We would put it out as a single. And now as the Invisible Panchos, we're just getting started. And it's the trajectory was like up.
Exactly.
So we're going.
Did you knew about that? How he was feeling about that beat that time, or this is your first time knowing that story?
No, I've heard it. He's told it. He's told it before.
I've told it.
I'm thinking in the moment. Did I? I mean, I had a hunch. I mean, to me, it was one of those things like either this is gonna work or it's not. Like, so I was like, this is how. One of the things is like I don't like on a technical side. I don't ever really go to people's studios usually because I don't write. Like so I'll sit in front of a mic and just like I'll rap things.
Okay.
And I'll find my way to.
So it's like it's almost I'm freestyling, but then it's like, oh, I like that part. I'm actually running that back.
Yeah.
I got something else to add on it.
Right. And so that's to me like that part is just I think it's just me being insecure about like, man, that shit could take all day sometimes. Sometimes that takes 15 minutes. Like literally. Like sometimes it's just been 15 minutes. Oh shit, it just came out 15. Then sometimes it's like a day, or then sometimes it's like I just did 2 bars right here and that's all that fucking came out. So I don't ever want to put that on anybody. That's really where that comes from about like not going to people's studios. But the arranging thing, I just think I'm like one of the best arrangers in the city. And I was like, well, I'm gonna let him hear my best. Here's my best. And if he's like, man, fuck that, change that. I know we're probably not gonna be able to work together. You know what I mean?
I might be doing this often.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I'm at least gonna be suggesting this. You know what I mean? And if
you shoot on everything I say, I'm like, yo, are you really listening to my shit?
Yeah. Right. And so like did I know? Maybe I like when we first talked about it, I could hear him. Like I think he said something like, damn, I didn't even recognize the beat or something like that. And I was just like, because I'm a producer too, so I'm like, oh, I know. But then like I think I don't even think we ever had time to really like unpack that because I almost immediately then reached out to him and been like, bro, you're going to give me, like, you need to make all these, you're going to be in all the videos. Like, we're going to do all, like, I immediately started just running.
Connecting
and I think
dots.
he saw that too, for sure. Like, okay, we're not playing. And then as now when we create, like, I think even just within the last couple of months, we've collaborated way more than we ever have. Like, because it's just been, to me, doing it as long as I've been doing it, I'm just like, I know that there's a process to it. You can't rush it, and you have to get there, and you have to take all the steps. So I was literally just, for me to collaborate with somebody, I'm always just looking for somebody who's willing to take all the steps. Because if you're not, then we're not gonna make the dopest
you already
thing.
got a blueprint that you already know that I'm trying to follow, and if you
because I learned it the same way.
If you're not with that blueprint, I'm sorry, we're not gonna work.
Yeah, and then it's not necessary then, right? It must not be necessary.
Right.
Because the universe is literally telling us, like, yo, it's probably not gonna be the best. And so now that, like, one of the things we're always saying is, like, we just want the best song. So it doesn't matter how we get there. Like, whatever you might do all the production on this, and I might just play this little piano right, boom, and that's it. But is that the best song? Yeah. And the only way we can do that is by being honest with each other. Like, if we're not honest with each other, it's gonna come out in the music. And I think so far everything we've done has been 100% honest, and you can tell because it moved fast. Like, as soon as we started to, like, really lock in, it moved fast. Like, we went literally from, hey, we should work together, to, like, boom, you're booked on a festival. Boom, you're booked. Like, it started all these things. And then for us, like, our live show is something that, like, we create together.
Moments.
Like, because our live show, because we don't just rap, bro. Like, it's not like, you're not going to just go ever to one of our shows and see me just rap and him play beats.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing I can explain to it, and the people who just went to this last one, I think they agreed with it. Like, it's like a play. Like, there's literally a story. We collaborated with our homie Parker Edison, who was an amazing creative and an MC as well. And he narrates our show. So we come up with a narration. So every time we're telling a new story, and it could be a funny story. It could be whatever. We have cast. Yeah, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
But that, to us, that means something because of all the things you said. That person, that's the only show they took a day off to be at that show. It's important.
Right.
Yeah.
So they better get everything.
They're like, I didn't fucking take this day off for this shit.
For me to stand there and just recite my raps to you.
Right.
That's not what this is. Like, at least to us, that isn't what I'm attracted to. And again, like, I say that with the utmost respect. I know some lyricists that I can sit there and just close my eyes and listen to them because they're so fucking dope. But they might just be standing there. That's not what we do. Mm-hmm. Like, for us, it is important. Yeah, it's important that a show happens because of my uncle, because of his dad, because of people who are, like, cared about, like,
putting on a show,
on the music. They cared about the art of it, the show. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's a big thing that we get to collaborate a lot. That's my favorite thing so far about what we're doing. Is I really do feel like we created kind of like a little universe, and it's expanding a lot.
Yeah, taking our songs live is a different. You know, people say, like, you'll go to a hip hop show and you'll be like, oh man, I can just listen to this at home, right? Because they're just literally rapping over their vocals or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But, like, making the show what it is a beautiful thing. That's, again, putting everything out. By that last note, the last thing that's hit, everything's out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're usually drenched in sweat. Like, usually, like, we've had people cry at our shows. Like, it's been crazy, dude. Like, and it's been really trippy to see, like, for me to see him, because I know, like, him getting into it where he got into it, like, literally signing up at Hip Hop Wins to do that to, like, I'm on a stage at a festival. Like, I know how fast it happened. But, like, I've seen him take it like a fucking champ, because, like, it's hard, dog. Like, it is hard, like, to be pushed out there, not knowing exactly how this is going to go, having only practiced just a little bit of time. We're still all new at this. So for us, like, I tell everybody, like, right now, go see, if you see Invisible Panchos on a bill, go see us, because you're going to watch us walk a tightrope, because we're going to try. we get off on it. You're gonna watch us walk a tightrope up there, and we might fall and we might not. But it's always our goal to like master it. Like you're gonna at least see that in real life, what that looks like people going in, like, and we're gonna try stuff, and sometimes it's gonna work, sometimes it's not.
It hits, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But to me, that's the fun.
We're going to move you one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to be hit.
Yeah.
And you may not expect it, and you may be satisfied from what you expect.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
come out to the show.
We've had like this weird like this weird connection with like fans that are particularly into like mental health, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, like that has really, and I think that has a lot to do with our live shows, because we talk about it a lot. Because we basically have conversations like this, if you can imagine that, like in musical form, like it, you know what I mean? Like we'll pick a topic and be like, we're just gonna go deep in on this thing tonight, and our song, because I know what our songs are and we know what our topics are. We touch on a lot of those things so we can place them in places like a soundtrack. Like this is where this song will play. We even have the song that plays at the credits. This is the credits of our thing. This is the beginning. This is the intro. So we've had that like connection with people who they might not even just be hip hop fans. They might just be like, I connected it first because of the mental health part, and now I'm a hip hop fan. And that's dope to me. In fact, I love that. I love that. I'm a hip hop head. But I love the fact that we can turn people on to hip hop by doing some other thing. Yeah, exactly.
So what is it? Because you kind of touched on I just fucking forgot what I was about to say. You said oh no, that's what I was gonna say. What's the comparison for shows out in everywhere else and in San Diego? Do you get the same amount of love? That could go for both of you guys. You get the same amount of love you feel in San Diego when you go out of San Diego?
I would say in our experience, our brand is universal, meaning to say, like, doesn't matter if we know people personally in LA, San Diego, wherever we perform, we just try to bring it out and let people know who we are every time we're on the stage. So to answer your question, yes, for the simple that it is. I think we all get the love up there,
relatively the same.
And down there, I don't think there's no one out there and be like, "Yo, work." You know what I mean? No one's throwing tomatoes and shit. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I think the reception has been all good.
I feel like people are like, they're always kind of hyped on the idea that it wasn't like, oh, like I did not expect that. Like that's usually what people say.
Absolutely,
like I did not expect that.
Absolutely,
and that's dope. Yeah.
We've even had people that we've known, like this last show, for years.
Yeah.
And they were like,
damn, I didn't know y'all was doing this, and I've been doing this for years, bro.
Right. Yeah, like this last show was probably kind of like I felt like it was like our homecoming show from us having done, we'd just gone on a run of like a bunch of bigger shows and different shows in different cities. And us coming here, we definitely hadn't performed in front of this audience since before we had actually even created the Invisible Panchos. I was probably still performing solo stuff in front of them.
Right.
So they've only gotten to see it like grow online.
Right.
And then for them to see it and then see their reaction, it was dope.
Like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, yeah. And it was just dope to see like the city was in the city was there. Like I was like, damn, this is dope. The city came out.
What brought about the name Invisible Pancho, the Invisible Panchos?
We did a show with the homie Parker Edison, the dude who narrates it. He had a band called the Elephants in the Room. And we did like this online show. It was like during COVID. We did like this cool concert that played out as well, like a play kind of like, but it was all online. And I got booked. It was Kill C Ray was booked. And I was going to have Gene basically almost be like my DJ pretty much. Right. But he was going to play beats.
Do the old thing.
Just
rapping.
Yeah. It was beats. Just going to be, I was going to just rap right there. Right. That's what I was thinking at that time. And then I had just always had this idea. I used to like, me and my homies would like clown about like making punk bands or like, oh, what if we had a band? What would the name be? And the first time I said the Invisible Panchos, I think the homie said it first, and I was just like, yo, if I ever have a band, I'm having the Invisible Panchos. And some gut feeling, bro, like no bullshit. Because when we got booked on it, like it was, like I said, it was Kill C Ray. And it said that on the flyer too, right? Mm-hmm. Like it said it on the flyer. But the host, I made the host say, it's Kill C Ray, but for tonight, for one night only, is the invisible Panchos. Because I just thought that was kind of funny, and it would be funny, and that's not hip. That don't sound like that's hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I like fucking with that idea. And we did that one show, and I was just like, oh shit.
And it was like,
yeah,
it was a moment.
Like, okay.
Yeah,
we are the invisible Panchos.
Yeah, I was like, you're weird. I never want to like. So then it became like anytime you like I had my own music, he had his own music, but if you saw either one of us live, you would see us as the invisible Panchos, and that's all it was going to be. We weren't going to make an album. It was just like if you saw Kill C Ray live, it would be the invisible Panchos. But then people started asking us for music, and then people would like all of a sudden thought we had an album coming. They were like, "Yo, like I can't wait for the album to drop," and blah. We were just like, "Whoa, like we're not making it. We weren't even there yet."
Right?
Yeah, but like it made us want to think about it. Yeah, it made us want to like really start playing with the idea, and then we kind of did, and we just jumped in from there.
We have been in nonstop fight camp, champ camp.
We call it champ camp.
You know, boxers train, they have their fight week or fight camp. You know, we're constantly on it. Once the show ends, we got to go back and make more music. We get a booking. We got we're working on our health, mental, physical, spiritual. And it's either we're prepping for a show or we're editing a video. We're editing. We edit all our own videos.
We have a dope team.
We record our own music, so it's like it's all in house. So that's why it does take a lot.
Yeah,
it does take a lot of work, and
and it's definitely not just us. Like we have a dope team.
A team. You got to have a team around you.
Yeah. Shout out to Eddie, Melly, 7 Octobers, Parker Edison.
Yes.
Yeah.
What inspired y'all to be so tough on mental health, promoting that in your shows?
I was just having a lot of experiences that were hitting. You ever reach rock bottom, you know that you're only going to stay there, or you have to search somewhere. And that's just simple. Again, I try to make things simple because it is a choice, right? It is a choice. You're either going to stay there or you're going to pull yourself up from your bootstraps, because only you can do it. You can have interventions, you can have people telling you, put their arm around you, buddy you, whatever you want. But if you aren't open to receiving that, then you won't even know where to start. You know? I've come to learn that one of my things was I didn't receive love very well. I didn't maybe see. I always took it for like, nah, that didn't really like.
Don't mean that.
Like I almost gotta deny the shit to make myself believe. Like, nah.
Right.
So that's bullshit.
But again, that had all stemmed with like the self-confidence, the self-love, the gratitude for everything. Literally, when I mention gratitude, it's literally got to be all or nothing for me to like really have it drive home. You know what I mean? So, rock bottom definitely was
it helped with the mental health theme.
Yeah, getting into the and
it wasn't on purpose though. I don't think, right? Like I don't think so.
So what was it for you?
I think that's what I was just rapping.
Same thing.
I was just rapping about.
Right.
Like I was trying to rap about what was happening in my life. And that's what was happening in my life. Like I was dealing with my own mental health and shit.
Right.
I was like,
and now you're bringing this to life within your music.
Yeah. And then I've been able to see like people, like I get it now. Like now it took me a minute, but now I get it. Like when people like it for that reason, because I'm a hip hop head, so I want them to like it for the hip. But then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Everyone finds their own way to this.
I'm bigger than just hip hop.
Yeah. It is, right? I mean, mental health is that. It is bigger than it. And so like, and it affects all of it. So that is something like we've had some of like people that we look up to, like artist wise, talk to us about that specific thing. Cause they're like, cause y'all are obviously versed on it. So like we've been able to help other artists, like, because they'll come to us because they're like, that's your thing, right? Like you guys are and we're like, oh, I guess
it's our thing.
I guess it's our thing, yeah. And that's dope,
right?
You know what I mean? Again, like that gratitude of like all or nothing. Like if that is whatever decided that's our job, then that's our job. We'll take it. You know what I mean? Again, because what are we asking for?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I'll take it. That's a good trade,
right?
You know what I mean?
You helping people.
Yep.
Helping people cope with the music you're making. So it's like that's almost like a therapy for somebody else.
Hell yeah. And so whatever that costs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So shit, while we still got you guys on here, is there any way anything you guys want to promote, put out, anything just to let people know how to reach you for your socials?
Yeah.
However,
wait, when does this come out? You guys know? It'll be a minute, right?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a minute. So we'll have a better idea by the.
So then just go to. We'd love everybody to go to theinvisiblepanchos.com for everything. Really, you can find all his links there, all my links there. He's got a super dope podcast every week now, right?
Yeah, we're doing it every Monday.
The beats, right?
So we have the beat block. We have the beat block radio show. We have the chopping block, which is where I put out samples
to the community.
Week before, to the community. They take them, flip them, submit them, and we play that. So that's more of like a themed night. And then I have this other one. It's my first podcast that I talked about when I started during the pandemic. When I was sitting around, what am I going to do and what I'm going to do? And getting nudged by the team saying, you should do this. It's called Talking Chop. So like, we're talking shop, but talking chop because I'm chopping samples, making beats. You're seeing my process behind, how I flow from beginning to end in a modified time, right? Obviously, there's times where I make music that takes time to create, but in a 1 to 2 hour segment, we try to get as much going, and I try to be as informative to the community as possible. So we were doing that just every other Monday. It was just the radio. Now we're doing it every Monday, and you're getting a little variety every Monday. So 7 p.m. Platform Collection, YouTube.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you was finished.
No, that's it.
Okay,
go to Platform Collection on Instagram, and follow the links there, and then go to theinvisiblepanchos.com. And all our shows are there. We'll be booked all through 2023. So
that's always lovely to say.
If we come to your city, please come out. We promise you, at the very least, you're going to see 2 sweaty dudes.
Absolutely. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. At KillCray. KILLCREY. I'm Gene_Flow, GENE_FLO at The Invisible Panchos. So just as it is on here on the screen.
Ain't no O. Ain't no O. Hey, dude, thank you so much, man.
No problem. So for sure, it's been another episode of the BiGG Umbrella Podcast. I'm going to repeat that. That's the BiGG Umbrella with 2 G's, and it's a wrap.
Peace.
Cool.
Well, let's get some tacos, nigga. Can we really get some tacos? You trying to get some tacos? Let's get some tacos, nigga.